Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, the US Federal Reserve's indication of 3 rate cuts coming in 2024 has led to a huge surge in equities globally, and the Indian stock markets was no exception. Moving in line with the global peers, the Indian equity benchmark indices scaled record highs, with the Nifty surpassing 21,200 and the Sensex crossing 70,600 for the very first time on Thursday. The big question is, will the momentum continue? We will tell you all, but first up the top headlines we're tracking for you this hour. Indian stocks are likely to head higher on Friday as strong overseas cues boost higher risk-taking appetite of bulls on the Wall Street. Extreme caution is advised for new traders and investors not to be attracted to surging prices of high beta stocks, specifically in the government sectors. Calmness and patience are the best attributes of good investing. Very good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail, as well. Well, it's been a great week for the Nifty so far. The Nifty also broke the previous high with a big gap yesterday. It rallied 256 points after the US Fed signal on the rate cut move coming in. The strong move after a 6-day consolidation as well. How would you really look at the move? Is a newer high of 21,500 coming today?
Very good morning to you, Sakshi, and to thousands of viewers who are joining us on Market Today at Business Today Television. We seem to have color coordinated our look, whereas there was no effort made on that way, and that basically means, Sakshi, that we are going to have a green day.
That's fantastic.
Let's sort of drill down why that green day will be there. The reason for those is fairly simple. You are getting very decent cues coming in from Wall Street. You see a fantastic move that the Dow Jones Index has seen as far as prices are concerned. It, of course, rose for the 5th day in a row yesterday, and again a record high that side. So those cues, there is Sakshi, a sigh of relief. In any case, our markets were rising on the electoral victory of the Bharatiya Janata Party, very strong macro. But the only problem in this landscape was that the RBI could not cut rates until the US Federal Reserve said that our rate cycle is also over, and now we are likely to turn on the negative side. Negative side in the sense that they'll start cutting rates. So this strategic pause that the RBI took in April 23 is now going to turn into possibly a rate cut. They'll wait for a rate cut from the US to be definitely sure. And this is what is getting now priced in. So earlier it was election, last Monday. This week it's a global macro that has also provided very strong tailwinds. And if you look at the GIFT Nifty, 21,400 is what we are seeing. Even on technical charts, that is what seems to be likely as far as the Nifty is concerned. Of course, it ended a fantastic 250 points higher yesterday at about 21,182. This is again, Sakshi, the day's high after a very strong gap up. So the gap up was 180 points. And beyond the gap up, the index kept on adding. So it became a trending day. And that trending day, as always, ends at the day's high. That is what has happened. There is pent-up demand. and of course we are now in the new weekly settlement of the Nifty. We were fortunate that yesterday's move came on the weekly expiry day, which meant that bears had to purposely either shift, roll over or cut their position. So my understanding is, Sakshi, that the trend is up and it's going to be fairly vicious for bears from now on. The more they cut the positions, the further the index will rise, and that is what is happening. And I'd like to appreciate the point of caution that you mentioned, because now markets are very overrated. You know, every other stock rises 20% once a week, and that is a sign of extreme feeling of being left out, and that probably doesn't end well. So a word of caution was much needed, and thank you for that.
Absolutely. Now, Shell, on the bank Nifty, we did see the banking names roaring in trade yesterday, along with the IT names. The bank Nifty hit a new high of 47,944. Of course, there was profit taking at the higher levels. Finally, it settled at 47,732, up 640 points, or 1.3% higher. How are you looking at this entire banking space? Is that going to be a safe spot to be in this otherwise overheated market?
Yes, Sakshi. I believe that the charts of Bank Nifty are equally, if not more stronger than the Nifty, at least till yesterday. Now, yesterday what happened? It was the IT sector that kicked in. I can't remember the last time I saw a 4-digit gain on the Nifty IT index. And because, IT is such a strong component of the Nifty, so the Nifty got a double kick, which is banking stocks and IT stocks. Therefore, banking actually rose 1.2. Nifty actually rose 1.2%, and within that 1.2% is the fabulous 3.5% rise on the Nifty IT index, and the banking index of 1.36. So my understanding is that banking is a little more relieved, and I'd like to make a wonderful point here. Sakshi, of course, it's at a record high. The Nifty bank at 47,732 in front of you. Over the week, it has gained about 1.1%. But hold your breath. HDFC Bank, which is the highest component in terms of weightage in HDFC Bank, is flat. It hasn't moved an inch over the last 5 trading sessions at 1661, which basically means that if this rally were to continue, then HDFC Bank has to sort of start contributing. So ICICI and Axis are pulling the Bank Nifty higher for the moment, but my understanding is that today being the first day of the weekly settlement as far as Bank Nifty is concerned, you'll see some hectic activity in HDFC Bank, and that is where the baton will now be transferred to. So ICICI and Axis may consolidate, may go sideways, but it is the move of HDFC Bank which is anticipated in this week. Sakshi.
Okay, fair enough. In the F&O space, Shell, which are the stocks that you're watching out for? Yesterday it was the REC PFC stocks. Today, are there any other sectors and stocks that are on your radar?
Sakshi, yesterday, if you remember, we had discussed that it is going to be a big boy rally, right? Blue chips will shine better and faster. My assumption is that, even on Friday, the same rally is likely to continue. We didn't see much action on, things like M&M, things like DLF, things like ICICI Bank, although they have grown substantially yesterday also. But the activity, my understanding, would be today on Bajaj Finance. Remember, it's beaten down very badly, and it hasn't done much. So the catch-up trade will happen. And of course, all of this is driven by very strong FII numbers. Yesterday was 3,570 crores. Before that was 5,300 crores. And before that was 2,588 crores. So if you look at the first 10-12 sessions of December, something like close to 35,000 crores has come into Indian equities from overseas funds, and that is what is driving sentiment in blue chips and Nifty stocks much higher, because that is where FIIs shop, and that is the underperformance in the market over the last 7, 8, 10 months, that Nifty hasn't done much, although we keep growing about 20,100, 20,200. But if you compare with the stunning rally on mid cap and small cap, the gains pale into insignificance, and that is the catch-up trade in the market. Sakshi.
Fair enough. Let's look at the global cues then very, very quickly. US stocks ended firmer on Thursday. Dow Jones notching its second straight record high close, lifted by the optimism that borrowing rates will decrease next year and the dovish pivot of the Federal Reserve. S&P 500 climbed 0.2% to end the day at 4719. It remains down less than 2% now from its record high close that was seen in January of 2022. And the Nasdaq also gained about 0.2% in trade in yesterday's action. Now, when we talk about the Asian markets, again, they're looking higher as we open another trading space following the up move in the Wall Street overnight as well. And we can see that Japan's Nikkei and Kospi, they're up by over a percent. And Hang Seng is the one that is shining the brightest, 3% higher. Shanghai up by 0.4% as well. So you are seeing, and all across the world, kind of a rally moving higher. The gift nifty, like Shell pointed out, giving us a positive indication, 21,400 odd levels. At this point in time, we'll continue to hope to see that. And now, of course, when we talk about the flows, the foreign investors continue to remain net buyers. They bought equities worth 3570 odd crore rupees, DIIs bought 553 crore rupees in equities. And the bigger question is that how strongly are they likely to continue to flock the domestic equity space as well? And that's something that we will continue to discuss with our experts as well. A few stocks that you can keep on your radar before the markets open as well. Texmaco Rail, that's got a work order of 1374 crore rupees from the Ministry of Railways. Stock will be in focus. M&M Financial is now planning to foray into areas of life, health, and general insurance as well, both group and individual. Another trigger that could be in the offing for the company. Apart from this, we are also going to see PVR Inox in focus. The reports that Plenty Private Group and Multiples Private Group are likely to sell 2.3% stake in the company. Hero Motocorp, that could be in focus. The company is now likely to buy additional stake in Ether Energy for up to 140 odd crore rupees as well. Apart from this, you also have IRB Infra. IRB Infra Trust that's emerged as a preferred bidder for quota bypass. Another trigger for the stock. From the railways pack again, from Jupiter Wagons will be in focus. It's got an order worth 1617 crore rupees as well. Again, it's a positive trigger. Then we also have Genus Power, order win over here too. The company has won orders of 1026 odd crore rupees. So those are the particular stocks that you can continue to keep on your radar as well. Shall?
Sakshi, my understanding is that the activity, as you pointed out in your headlines, would be concentrated on a lot of government PSUs. And again, I would like to inject a word of caution. A lot of stocks have run up very sharply, and probably this run up is now getting into that orbit where, it's the retail person who comes in and buys from the institutional investor who's done a little bit more of research, and that is a cause for worry. Therefore, I again repeat this. Be very, very careful on the fresh positions that you are taking at these levels. This market, of course, is in a fantastic bull run, but that doesn't mean that bull runs don't correct, and they don't correct by giving a notice. They do, and they correct at the drop of a hat. We really don't know what the reason is. We often find the reason after the correction has happened. With that due note of caution, and I again repeat, please exercise extreme caution on fresh long positions, and it is always, always good, Sakshi, to book profit on continuing positions, because profit in the bank is better than profit in the book. So that's the only
Absolutely.
advice that I'd like to put forward. That please be as it is. We are headed to the weekend. As it is, this is the 7th week of continuous gains, and markets look overstretched. Markets remain irrational more than we can remain solvent. Our money is finite, and more attention should be paid to your liquidity than to the run up in the market, Sakshi.
Fair enough, and very well said on that note, Shell. We also have our guest now joining in. Mayuresh Joshi now joins in. He's the head of equity research at William O'Neill India. Very good morning to you, Mayuresh. What a date to have you. 7th consecutive week of gains coming in on the street, record highs on an everyday basis. But how does one invest in this Santa rally is something that you can only tell all our viewers.
Morning, Sakshi. Morning, Shail sir. And I can see the optimism by both of you wearing green. I'm the only person wearing a dark orange instructor. So I think the optimism is very well put out. But yes, I think what Shail sir was just mentioning, I think very same piece of advice. A lot of retail investors do have that missed out feeling into the equity markets. But they should realize that markets is a compounding machine. So I think if you try to come in here to have some quick gains, the markets will do exactly the opposite. So I think if you want to be a little bit more patient to probably see your returns grow, you need to probably have a long-term view and invest in quality, because at some juncture, quality is always going to outperform. Now, the multi-million dollar question is where to invest with these level highs that we are seeing and gap ups that we see every day. I think one needs to be really selective in putting in fresh money and in ideations where structurally the earnings should probably continue happening or where there is valuation comfort. Obviously, the themes that are going to work in the Indian context over the next 5 to 6 years, with the expectations of a stable government at the center, is going to be continued capex policies, expectations in terms of more spends happening on infrastructure, on a lot of port stroke road development, expectations in terms of the consumption themes actually also growing at a good pace as we exceed that $2,400 mark. We are at that inflection point where the need for growth and growth-oriented policies is only going to take consumption higher. And therefore, being a little bit more selective, having a few tranches probably kept, and as we look at the markets and our approach towards market, keeping some element of a stop loss in place as a risk management tool, because if the market reverses, as Shail sir says, the reversal can be quite brutal for reasons unknown to us. So being very selective in these markets and approach markets with a structural view with good quality stocks is something that I can only do.
Right. Mayuresh, a very warm welcome to you. And please believe me, neither I nor Sakshi planned the wardrobes. Like I said, a lot of good things are happening for capital markets. तो ये ना कहीं तारे मिले हुए हैं और उस वजह से आप ये देख रहे हैं. And by the way, it was such a pleasure to meet you yesterday evening in Mumbai for 2 hours. Believe me, Sakshi, it was a learning experience on how to operate marketsmithindia.com. It's a fabulous website. Of course, Mayuresh is the head of research for William O'Neill Securities, which runs marketsmithindia.com. Some fabulous data and fabulous 120 minutes spent learning on how to look at markets in a very different fashion. Be that as it may, Mayuresh, you work on the website much better than what I can ever hope to be, which means the onus of telling two good stocks what to buy rests on you.
No, absolutely. In fact, Sakshi, I would just say that out of 120 minutes, I spoke for 30. I got a lot of learning over the next 90 minutes from Shail sir yesterday. So I think he's being very humble. Having said that, I think the infra space, as I mentioned, is looking very, very attractive. We did mention a few stocks the last time we interacted. But a stock like NCC, in our opinion, that has also doubled probably from its lows in a year's time frame. But the management sounds very confident, and that makes us very, very optimistic in terms of its growth prospects. They are expecting a 20 to 25% revenue growth year on year. They're expecting margins to probably remain extremely stable between 10 and 11 odd percent. They've already reported order wins to the tune of 20 odd thousand crores. They're expecting order wins at the end of second quarter at 26 odd thousand. But my own sense is that they will exceed that very, very comfortably, which means they've got a very comfortable 4.5 times book to bill ratio, which means over the next 4 to 5 years, the order book suffices in terms of revenue growth. Having said that, the kind of execution that these guys are doing for the last few quarters, that execution trend is expected to continue, which will result in better margins, as I said, better operating cash flows. And because of that, the profitability is expected to improve quite significantly. The kind of projects that they are taking on, the large expectations in terms of whether a large part of debt will build up on their balance sheet does not seem to be the case, because the existing debt, along with expectations of what can get built up on the balance sheet, can get limited to around 1,500 odd crores, which is very manageable for a company of this size. So NCC is something that we believe can do well. The other stock, from purely a momentum perspective and from a value perspective as well, both, and that is a very surprising thing that we actually found out. in the last 2 days is Easy Trip. Now, this stock really has done nothing over the last 1 year. In fact, it's been a major underperformer. But you're initially seeing signs of an initial revival happening on this one. You saw some bits of that happening yesterday. Our sense is that this might very well continue from a price perspective. Now, two, three things which are happening very interestingly for this counter. The second largest online travel platform, as we know, profitable. They've got cash on books to the extent of 300 odd crores. They've done an adjusted revenue of 410 crores for the first half of this financial year. Obviously, if you compare before COVID times, I think the relative performance in terms of OCFs, EBITDA, absolute number was better. But the revenue growth for the first half has been relatively better. The management believes that they will be able to optimize costs even more. And they've got the lowest and the lean cost structures actually when it comes to employee costs, advertising spends, when it probably comes to discounting, which has increased a tad bit in the first half, but very, very manageable with a zero convenience platform, which is probably non-existent as we speak within this space. Obviously, competition has heightened, but to a large extent, the kind of brand building and image that it probably carries should start getting reflected in numbers. Our own sense is that return ratios have probably bottomed out. They should start showing signs of significant improvement. And the market itself is expected to grow. So a surprising fact from their presentation is the online trading platforms actually as we speak, the size is expected to almost double in the next 4 years. And in fact, over the next 4 years, what the overall industry size is going to be the size of the online trading platform, so travel platform. So in that sense, huge runaway growth also expected. Again, these stocks, as I said, because we follow risk management practices, 8 to 7.5% to 8% stop loss is something that is important.
Fair enough. NCC and Ease My Trip, and that's the most comprehensive way. In just about 2 to 3 minutes, you can get an analysis of a whole company that Mayuresh always gives on our platform. So we'll continue to watch out for these two stocks. But Mayuresh, I wanted to draw your attention to the big pivot that we are talking about, the US Fed interest rates peaking out. Now they will come down in 2024. That's a powerful change for the markets. The last 3 years, 2021, 2022, 2023, we had to deal with rising interest rates, and now the interest rates will come down. What will really happen with that now coming in 2024? What's your anticipation?
So again, a large part of the market believes that the second half of next calendar year is when the rate cut cycle will start. The markets are presuming 2 rate cuts as a base case scenario for the next year, and around 3 to 4 rate cuts in the year following that. Now, as the rate cuts happen, we all know the consumption boom probably starts happening. Retail lending, consumption lending, corporate lending will start picking up quite significantly across the globe, because as the Fed starts its rate cut cycles, a lot of bankers across the globe are going to follow suit. So I think it's going to have a runaway amount of growth as far as capex, as far as consumption discretionary themes are concerned. So to that extent, markets are cheering all these facts very gleefully at this point of time. And that is something that is expected to take place in corporate earnings as well. Because as rate cuts start happening and the cost of borrowing starts coming down significantly, FY26 numbers with a lower cost structure is definitely going to mean improvement in NIM spreads for financial system as a whole. But for a large part of the borrowing universe, since their cost of borrowing comes down, the leverage element on their balance sheet starts coming down, which is also a huge boost for corporate earnings. So I think you should probably ensure and see that a lot of these positive developments take place. But you should also be watching out for the red flags, Sakshi. So I think that is where our eyes also always laid out. On the provisioning as an example on what happens with the bank. And again, I think the dollar-yen trade, if that starts reversing, that can also have some implications as far as the financial system is concerned.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll take a 30-second break, and when we return, we will continue to focus on the pre-open action and the discussion with Mayuresh. Stay with
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, Managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today.
Good morning and welcome back on Markets Today. We have already Brijesh Ail who's joining us. He's the Head Technical and Derivatives Retail Research at IDBI Capital. Very warm welcome to you, Brijesh. We'll just focus on the pre-open trades a bit and then come back to you for your two picks. At the moment, it's a flat opening on the Nifty, 8 points higher, 21,191. Of course, it's the weekend and we've already seen parabolic moves coming into the Nifty over the last 10 odd trading sessions, so maybe a time for pause. Let's see what's buzzing. Bajaj Finance, Sakshi had pointed this out, 1.3% higher, 75.69 for you. L&T 1.7% higher, 34.90. These are the two top heavyweights as far as prices are concerned. Let's slip a bit lower. Infosys, this is interesting, 1.4% higher, 15.22. Reliance, 0.5% higher, 24.75. And HDFC Bank, what is this one doing? It's down 2%, 16.17. This number will improve. And because Reliance and Infosys are in the green, you've seen the Nifty building up gains. Now 54 points higher, 21,236. How about ICICI Bank and Axis Bank? They are flat at the moment. So let's see what HDFC Bank does, and it's already showing signs of improvement and therefore an uptick on the Nifty. I was mistaken, ladies and gentlemen. It's unlikely to be a rest day. The Nifty has already hit a century. 21,284 in front of you. HDFC Bank now in the green, 1653. A very quick look at F&O. What are the stocks on the move? Okay, National Aluminium 107.43% higher, Biocon 2.8% higher, 255, M&M 1735 1.8% higher, and PNB 9140 1.6% higher. Very quick look at the NSE 500 and then we'll reach out to Brijesh. SW Solar 5% higher, 445. We have Adani Power 543, 2.8% higher. Strong moves coming into Sumitomo Chemicals 409.50, 1.5% higher. Let the trades settle. Like I said, I was mistaken. Nifty is in full form. Another gap up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what happens. But 125 points higher, 21,310 for you in the cash markets. Brijesh, your presence as always has a very calming effect on the Nifty, and today on the contrary, it's helping it rise further. One, your view on sentiment on Dalal Street, and then maybe your two picks.
Yeah, very good morning, sir. So definitely the view is extremely positive.
Brijesh, could you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, it's unmute. Is it clear? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good morning, sir. So I think obviously the sentiment is extremely positive. I always believe that we will be making a new all-time high level. So I think the continuation of this momentum will be till 21,600, 21,800. That would be the immediate move. For the day specific, I think today close to 21,300, maybe 21,350. There is slightly profit booking is expected only from the intraday point of view, only being a weekly on a weekend note. But then bias is positive. 21,000 is now likely to act as a support, and this 500 points, 600 points would be the next couple of would be the range for the next couple of days. So, and secondly, most importantly on the Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty is somewhere near the resistance, 48,000. But today specifically, if we see 48,000 being taken out and we stays above 48,000, then I think aggressive move will follow in Bank Nifty. I have a view of close to 50,000 on the Bank Nifty this for the next couple of days. Bias both positive, Nifty, Bank Nifty both positive. Nifty specifically only because of this gap up opening. I think slight profit booking may be there. So we'll take it accordingly. Maybe first 1 hour of the trade will make it very clear of how the market is heading. And the two stocks which I'm looking right now is one is the M&M Finance. So yesterday during the day gave a very good breakout and extremely volume breakout. I think this momentum will continue towards 310 level. So that's the bet for the next couple of days. And second stock which I observed was Indian Hotel at 444 levels. It's making a very good formation. There's a good amount of range of 20-25 points from the current level. So I think fresh 20-25 points move will be seen in the Indian Hotel. So I think this would be the two pre-market trades for today's session.
Okay, M&M Finance, there's a news trigger there as well. And now you have the technical expert talking about how you can look at higher targets here. Indian hotels is another space that Brijesh is positive on as well. Brijesh, what would you do on, stocks like Bajaj Finance and Bajaj FinServ now? Of course, high ticket, but like Shell pointed out that this is going to be a trade to watch out for. How would you look at it today?
So Bajaj Finance specifically, it's again a trading bet. I think from the current level, another 150 to 200 odd points is the momentum trade which I can see. So definitely it would be a buy setup. It has initiated a buy trigger in yesterday's closing. So I think more 200 points rally. What we saw yesterday, same exactly replica of can be seen in today's session also. So we'll bet for another 200 points from the current level. It's a positive thing for the Bajaj Finance.
Okay, fair enough. Positive note for Bajaj Finance. How would you trade the big IT names? They were in flavor all through yesterday. The blue chip IT names like LTI, Mindtree, Tech Mahindra, Infosys, Wipro. Any trade here that you'd like to continue?
Sakshi, two trades basically. It's basically from the one is GoForge. Somehow the weekly time frame is extremely bullish, and the LTI. So there are two trade setups in both the stocks. I think the long term charts are going to be very aggressive, extremely bullish for these two picks. Definitely other like Infosys, Tech Mahindra do look on charts, but then there is a trade setup in GoForge and LTI Mindtrade, so I will go with these two stocks pick.
Okay, let's again touch upon the pre-open trades. Nifty settling a century higher, 104 for you, ladies and gentlemen. The second gap up of this particular week. Yesterday was 184 points. Today is 104 points, and the strength seems to be getting better and better, no matter what the weekend says. But bulls are saying हम तो तेजी में हैं और तेजी में रहेंगे, जो आपको कहना है करो. अच्छा जी, क्यों हो रही है तेजी? Infosys. Sakshi has already asked about the tech space from Brijesh. 1.4% higher, 1523. ICICI Bank a percent higher, 1043. Bajaj Finance 0.73% higher, 7528. So on and so forth. What is HDFC Bank doing? Remember, it's still flat, 1650. This has to start firing for the Bank Nifty to hit 50,000. Sakshi, कोई पूजा वगैरह करवानी पड़ेगी. देखते हैं how to get this working. Hindustan Unilever flat 2520. L&T flat 3435. Okay, let's go to FNO space, look at high beta and see what's happening there. Sakshi, it's going to be a metals day today. National Aluminium 2.6% higher, 107. Hindalco 556, 2.4% higher. Okay, M&M is gaining strength. M&M Finance 294.50, 1.8% higher. Vedant 1.5% higher, 258.55. So metals day definitely. Let's look at the NSC. Okay, let's do one more interesting thing. What's the most active thing? Okay, HDFC Bank 192 crores. Okay, yesterday, Sakshi, when the gap up was about to take place, I had mentioned how volumes in the pre-open had surged, and this is what I've checked today. So today is a modest day, nothing much to talk about. NSC 500, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the top gainers. IRB Infra 4215, fresh record high, 2.7% higher. What else is lighting up? Z Entertainment 282.90, 1.8% higher. Okay, so this is how the broad mid cap, small cap, large cap space has settled. Now let's get to brass tacks. To you, Mayuresh, my question is, what would be your top pick in the PSU space? It's abuzz with gains, it's abuzz with volume, it's abuzz with trader interest, investor interest. What looks good to you in the PSU space? Forget defense, forget railway, forget NBFCs, just the PSU space.
So I think we like this stock called Texmaco Rail, but it's not entirely PSU. But it's dependent on PSU orders. Sakshi just mentioned on the huge wagon orders that these companies, and I think that is where the run of the mill is going to be. But within this space, purely, I think from a price action perspective, I think a lot of stocks shares have run up. I think a few of the banking names within this space, specifically PSU banks, is something that one can keep on your radar. You've obviously seen a few capital raise announcements being done, but I think that might be a little bit equity dilutive from a near-term perspective, but expected to be balance sheet accretive from a growth perspective over the medium term. So I think Indian Bank is something that one can keep your mind.
Okay. Mayuresh, I just wanted to just mention IREDA to all our viewers. Again, it's at 120, about 0.08% higher, but there is a positive tick even after that stupendous move that we've been witnessing over the last few trading sessions. I want to ask you, I've never seen an IPO become a multi-bagger in such a short span of time, 4x in a matter of 14 trading sessions. What do you make of this market mood right now? Is it euphoria? Is it excitement? Especially in the IPO space, how would you advise investors to go about it?
Well, it's, I think, sheer exuberance, actually, just to put it very simply, because you look at the number of subscriptions which have come through. If I'm not mistaken, the last 4 or 5 IPOs which came together, I think there was almost 3.5 lakh crore bids which came through. So you can just see the sheer kind of exuberance that is probably happening in that space out there. And that's a result of 2 factors. One, I think the missed out feeling that a lot of retail investors are getting. Markets hitting all-time high. We don't have probably enough positions or other very thin positions in the market. So let's try the primary market. Obviously, with such huge subscription numbers, very few allotments are happening. And the listing is happening at 80-100% kind of gains, which probably makes it impossible for these investors to probably start looking at these stocks. So even from an analysis perspective, when we start analyzing these companies, it does take some element of time. It's hardly been a few days for a stock like IREDA to probably show the kind of returns. But all the others as well have done phenomenally well. So I think, again, the whole logic here is for fresh IPOs, if you miss that, you will get your opportunities within the same spaces if the market does give you that opportunity. It is just the question of having some patience, and that patience really works a big time into the markets. So let's get that missed out feeling out. There are plenty of opportunities outside the IPOs that are not available.
Okay, got it. Got that. Brijesh, from the metals pack, which stock will you go with today?
I think I will go with the national aluminum. We can go, but then again, it is in a ban, so I think we cannot take that. Hindalco and JSW Steel are the 2 packs. I think we'll see a good amount of breakout. So we'll keep a focus on Hindalco and JSW Steel.
Okay, Brijesh, anything that catches your attention in the pre-open trade that seems to have settled to your contrary expectations? What looks good there? Anything, mid cap, small cap, large cap?
Sir, not exactly. I'm not very convinced on the way. Let's see. I would just wait for some time, sir.
Okay, fair point. Let's see how it moves, and let's see how things pan out at 9:15. We are still 2 minutes away. To you, Brijesh, anything in the mid-cap IT space that catches your fancy? We saw strong rallies in Emphasis, Coforge, Persistent, Birla Soft, Tech Mahindra in particular yesterday. Anything that you like?
Yeah, so specifically emphasis, the structure is very positive. I think today the way the candle has moved, I think this continuation will be there in the emphasis. So even if it corrects a slight on the lower side, I would be definitely take a buy call in the emphasis. I think in the short term, emphasis can go back to levels of 2800, 2800 plus level. So extremely positive on emphasis. That would be one take. It's chartically it's given a breakout, so volumes were that. So I'm pretty convinced on the emphasis.
Okay. Right.
Okay, Infosys looks good. Mayuresh, what would be your top? Okay, prices have started, Sakshi. My sincere apologies. Let's just look at them. So Nifty opens 94 points higher. It's a gap up, 21,272. Nifty Bank 183 points higher, 47,920. The IT index, ladies and gentlemen, is taking it away. It's the top gainer so far, 0.7% higher, 236 points, 334, 450. Let's look at the gainers. Okay, in the index heavyweight space, Infosys top draw 1.5% higher, 1523. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what is HDFC Bank doing? 0.5% higher, 1658. Reliance 0.3% higher, 2470. And that's the reason why you see a strong green tick on the Nifty. The top three index heavyweights have started moving. What else is thick in action? ICICI Bank 0.5% higher, 1038. Bajaj Finance in the green, Sakshi. All 10 stocks in the index heavyweight space are in the green. Okay, FNO next, top gainers. National Aluminium 4.5% higher, 109. M&M Finance, something that was pointed out by Brijesh and Sakshi, 1.5% higher, 293. PNB 91 rupees, 1% higher. What else is buzzing strongly here? Okay, Apollo Tires, high beta, 2.5% higher, 461. A very quick look at the 500 space, and then we'll speak to our technical guests. Top gainer, Sakshi, is IRFC, 7% higher, 99. Fresh record high. GIC Ray again comes back into thought, 3.5% higher, 324. What are the all-time highs here? IRFC, IRB, BEL, GAIL. Interesting. These are the stocks that are moving very sharply in tandem, and GAIL is something that I'd like to check with Brijesh. Your first views, Brijesh, on Gas Authority of India, 147, 1% higher.
So we'll take the positive view. For the day specific, I think 152 can be on cards. It's in daily technical, I think it's a bullish flag breakout. Averages and the volumes are there, so I think its momentum is picking up. So I think we'll wait for another 4 to 5 points from the current level. 152 should be the immediate target on the higher side. And once we come close to 152, we'll review whether we need to hold on. Directionally, it's positive.
Right. I'd like to ask you, Brijesh, on Tex Mackerel, the stock has moved up 10% higher, and of course, there was news flow as well. How would you trade this stock now after this very sharp move coming in today?
Tex Macro, some of the view it is given a good amount of breakout. Weekly, daily and weekly, I think it's a rounding structure. So I think, but then this is somewhere close to resistance. So 190, 195 can act as a resistance. If it is a trader's pick, then I think I would advise to have some profit booking at the current level. Maybe some ease off of some sideways consolidation, and then we again review. But then at this momentum, it's already up by 14 points. So I think close to 190, 195, there will be some profit booking. I will slight cautious view on the at current price.
Okay. Mayuresh, your quick view on the railways pack. Of course, there's momentum building up. Which is the stock that you prefer from this entire list?
So I think a few days back, I just mentioned Texpac would just run up significantly. I think it's a 20-25% move already from the levels that we had discussed. But I think this is a very interesting space because the wagon orders are expected to keep on continuing as we speak over the next few quarters. And therefore, I think this space is going to remain extremely lucrative. but have an offshoot of this entire perspective over the next 2 to 3 years. So I think as wagon orders are getting laid out, obviously I think a lot of the steel companies, aluminum companies are going to be in focus. But a lot of the bearing companies will also start coming into focus actually, because the kind of bearings that will be required for all these wagons and the train sets itself is going to be a significant number as well. So watch out for bearing stocks as well, which provides today.
Okay. Well, stock markets are at record highs. All the frontline indices, the Nifty is opened around 21,300. You're looking at even the Sensex approaching higher levels of 71,000. The Nifty Bank near 48,000. The mid cap is inching higher at 45,800. What else do you expect from the markets, which has been roaring very, very high at this point in time? Shell, what are you watching out for?
Well, Sakshi, I am now watching State Bank of India, 628, and there are decent block deals that are happening. This is a fairly strong move. Your view on SBI?
So there's a momentum in the SBI 632 current price. I think it is likely to be the one of the outperformer for the day. I think the structure is very positive. One should initiate the buy at current level itself. Maybe close to 640 can be the next leg of upside from the trader's point of view, from the intraday point of view.
Okay, and how about how about a view on Reliance Industries? Although it's not worked very well as far as technical charts are concerned, but 2480. The reason why I say this is that Reliance, when it approaches 2500, the complexion and tenor of that stock changes. So at the moment, it is its highest level since September of 12th. Your view on RIL, Brijesh?
So I'm watching Reliance. So for the last couple of days, this the level of 2500, there's a lot of call writing, and this is going to act as resistance at least for today or maybe next 1 or 2 days. By any chance, if 2500 level is taken out, then the entire resistance will be taken out. Maybe some short covering we can see in the Reliance. So even though the stock has rallied, that momentum is missing in Reliance. So I would be waiting for 2500 levels to be taken. It won't it is not like it just take out. We need some good closing about that. If that comes, then I think there can be further short covering. We can talk about another 50-60 points kind of a traders rally in the Reliance. So right now at this junction, I think 25 is going to act a resistance for the Reliance, 2500.
Okay. Brijesh, let me draw your attention to Shipping Corporation of India. The stock is up 5% at 164 right now. Let's see if there are other stocks in this space also catching up in trade. Mazacon Dock slightly up in trade at this point in time. Cochin Shipyard just about 1% higher in trade as well. But your view on Shipping Corp and the rest of the space, if you have any topic?
Shipping is the structure is positive, so I think the near-term outlook for the shipping can be positive for the day specific. For the next couple of days, I think this range would continue. 165, 170 can be the higher side range, but then gradually over it, maybe from the longer time frame, I think this is looking good. Cochin shipyard, if I do look at, so I don't, not very keen. Maybe 1300 is the level where there can be some resistance. Not very clear trade setup. Maybe we'll have a wait and watch approach right now at this space.
Okay. Right. Mayuresh, let me bring you in. We discussed metal counters with Brijesh, and like Shell pointed out, turning out to be a metal kind of a day. Hindalco, JSW Steel, Tata Steel, all of them inching higher as one of the top movers on the trade on the Nifty. Nalco is the top mover, 7% higher now on the FNO space as well. NMDC follows 2.5% higher for this one too. The metal pack, how do you look at this entire space and any particular topic that you'd had from here?
So strong recovery expected in the second half of the next year. Again, reasons well known: rate cuts in the US, expectations of restocking happening across metals. A large part of the metals have seen restocking. Inventory levels are to an absolute low levels, whether it's steel, aluminium, zinc, copper, you name it. And therefore, LME prices also at all-time lows. So they should start showing an uptake, which creates a multiplier effect as far as operating leverage is concerned. Domestic-oriented steel companies doing fabulously well because the growth and demand dynamics extremely strong. So stocks like JSW Steel, SAIL continue doing well. But what we like in markets with India is Jindal Stainless. Our sense is that the kind of applications that we are just speaking about, right? Wagons, railways, specialty applications, Jindal Stainless, JSL, is something that provides this specialized steel to these very special applications at play. And therefore, Jindal Stainless is something that can do well, both in terms of absolute EBITDA and absolute EBITDA per ton that they reported in excess of 20-odd thousand rupees. Balance sheet also looks very, very strong. It's a very robust balance sheet as we speak. Not too much leverage that these guys have on their balance sheet. Numerous applications and therefore return ratios, along with strong profitable growth, should continue over the next few quarters as order book starts burgeoning and execution improves at the same pace. So domestic steel companies, if it is holding, continue holding. Me at my like Jindal Stainless at this time.
Okay, let me mark a few stocks and among them NCC Limited. Remember, this is what Mayuresh suggested in his opening remarks before markets opened. 178.80 for you after a 5-day decline. It's moving up, but his pick is more fundamental in nature. Nevertheless, it's a green tick and that green tick has to be marked. This price was last seen, ladies and gentlemen, in February of 2008 when the carnage in the global markets started. So you can well make out that's 12 plus 3. It's a 15-year breakout on NCC Limited, and this is something to be looked into deeply and appreciated fairly well. What else is moving? Hind Copper, and I'd like to get the attention of our friend Brijesh on this. Brijesh, what is Hind Copper telling you? The volume isn't there, but at least the price is ticking. Now close to 190. Your view on Hind Copper?
Sir, again, I think it's a momentum pick. It has given a good volume, this gap up trade in the morning, and it is trading above the resistance zone. I think this momentum will continue in copper. The stock is already up by close to I think it's up by close to 3%, and the previously we saw 191 was the resistance. So I think this resistance, there is a fair chance, a fair opportunity that this resistance will be taken out. We'll bet on the long side. I think it will be we'll bet for 195, 196 for the from the intraday point of view, and gradually I think it can be 200 plus. So I think it's again a positive bet. So I think one more stock which is catching my eyes is UPL. So for the very long time, I was keeping a watch on this. UPL is looking good on charts. So if somebody wants to trade, UPL can be one opportunity at this level.
Okay, got that.
Fair point.
Brijesh,
Other stocks that I'd like to mark, Sakshi.
sure.
Yeah, continue, Sakshi, continue.
Brijesh, just wanted to take your view on the fertilizer space. Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers is now up by 2.5%, and this entire space has had many of the stocks move up in the recent past. Which is the top stock that you're looking out from this space? Now up by 4% GNFC.
Actually, from that, Deepak Fertilizer was the one stock which we had on our list. So I think Deepak, we'll keep a watch on it at 660. I think the momentum is expected in the near term. 680 to 700 is what we are watching on the Deepak Fertilizer, and maybe Chambal is one which we were having a watch on. So basically, I will just update on Chambal. So at current price, Chambal, yeah, okay, so fine, yeah, maybe not today specifically, but in the short term, I think even the Chambal can see a rally close to 365, 370 level, maybe some corrections close to 350, maybe 345. again a buying opportunity in jumble. So for the view of 365, 370, close to 345, I think that's a buying opportunity in jumble.
Okay, fair enough. The other space in the F&O space that's moving up now is the chemical space too. Tata Chemicals now up by 2% odd. How would you look at this stock?
Yeah, so I think for the Tata Chemical has seen a range breakout. It's a positive bet. 1060 would be the next immediate upside. Uh, there is nothing negative. It's given a range breakout, so extremely bullish candle. So I think this momentum will continue for another 20-25 points. 1060 can be the immediate level to watch for, and maybe there's a lot. And the directionally also there is nothing wrong. So I think this momentum will continue. So while somebody wants to take the intraday bet, should also take a view on Tata Chemical.
Okay, the big boys have started to move, Sakshi. TCS. I'd like to mark this at 3688 because you see there's a catch-up trade happening between TCS and Infosys, and yes, this looks to be a good one. We've seen the most recent high being taken out on TCS. Really, really interesting, Sakshi. This price was now at its best in 20 months. On TCS, Brijesh, what do you think?
So again, that IT space is moving, and this TCS is likely to be the outcome. It is moving above the R1 3715. I think once it takes out, then 3740, 3750 can be the next trigger. So momentum is positive. We'll take a buying view on the TCS for towards 3750 level is what I believe.
Okay. You would want to comment on Mayuresh TCS now at a 20-month high. Of course, the index is also at 20-month high, but this breakout is substantial in the view that we've seen the buyback happening, as also the fact that the overhang from the US market in terms of the recession in the wider economy seems to have abated, at least for the moment. Your view on TCS?
Oh, yes, absolutely well put, Shail sir. And I think that's the logic why the IT stocks are moving at the pace at which they are. And a large expectation is that order wins will start flowing back in as we speak in the calendar year to come. And as that starts happening, the kind of expectations that one has in terms of dollar growth should be relatively better for the next financial year. Obviously, they've managed their book very, very well. And the utilization levels along with receivable days should start inching higher and lower respectively. And therefore, the kind of valuations that TCS trades at, the earnings momentum should start picking up from the next financial year. There is a huge runaway growth, Shail sir. There is a 5x growth that can get expected in cloud computing, almost a 8x growth in terms of the current market size when it comes to artificial intelligence. And the kind of investments that are going into data centers, so on and so forth, will entail another 3.5 times growth for these sectors, which means the kind of capabilities that will be required, behemoths and capital intensive companies, including the IPs that they've got, should reasonably suffice. So yeah, I think qualitative stock, continue holding in your portfolios.
Fair point. And I'd like to mark the entire metal space. National Aluminium 4.9% higher, NMDC 2.3% higher, Hindalco 2.4% higher, Hind Copper, this is something that has just been marked by Brijesh, 3.2% higher. The price is now about to change a digit. Of course, it's trading lower in the F&O space, 191 in front of you. Tata Steel, JSW Steel, these are the two, the super index heavyweights in the metal space. Vedanta 1.3% higher. So all round greenery as far as the prices are concerned in the metal space, Sakshi. What else are you watching? The Nifty is now flat, 74 points higher, 21,256. Bank Nifty is ticking 64 points higher, 47,795. Remember, it's the first weekly day for the Bank Nifty. I'm so sorry, this is the second weekly day for the Bank Nifty in its expiry, and a bit of trimming happening from the top. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Mayuresh, for being with us on this edition and speaking to us. Always a pleasure having you with us and celebrating newer highs in the markets. And we will continue to watch out for all the stocks that you pointed out as well. We'll continue the discussion with
Thanks, Sakshi.
Brijesh now.
Thank you.
And Brijesh, you pointed out UPL and very well spotted, 2% higher now among the top gainers on the Nifty back at 611. How would you look at this afresh? What is the next target that you'd give here?
Yeah, so basically, this was on my watch list for the last couple of days, and today, for the very first time, it has given a breakout. So I just thought I need to point it out. Directionally, 650 is what I'm looking at for the UPL, and it can also be a trading bet from the in the FNO space. Today, for the day specific, 620 odd can be seen in the UPL. Plus, somebody wants to take a cash position. It is giving some kind of reversal from the technical perspective, and I think 650 plus from the cash level and one needs to take a trading bet can be a 620 target for maybe today or maybe on Monday. So that's the view for the UPR.
Okay. How about the auto names, especially the two-wheeler names? Would you look at them? Hero MotoCorp, Bajaj Auto, Eicher, they're all ticking higher in trade. At 39.26, we can see Hero Moto about a percent higher in trade, almost 0.75% of a move on the Bajaj Auto counter too. And Eicher Motors ticking higher by zero point 0.4. We also have four-wheelers moving in, but how are you looking at the two-wheeler stocks right now?
So if you start with Hero, so I think it's given already the stock has given a breakout. Recently, few days before there was a correction, and now the stock has start moving. So trend, the momentum and trend both are positive. So I think I want like it will be gradually. I think slow and steady. It is going to scale above 4,000 plus level. So maybe, but then for making an entry, some corrections close to 3,800. I think that's a beautiful correction. We see that that should be viewed as a buying opportunity for the Hero Motor, and I think for 4,000 plus, we can easily see those points. If we talk of Eicher Motors actually rallied quite a bit from the current levels. I would wait for some decline to 3,900, 3,800. So if those points are seen in the next couple of days, then I think I'll re-enter the Eicher Motor as well because in the short term, I think 45 plus can what we see in Eicher Motor well. But then Eicher Motors, some corrections, if we see a correction, then that would be a better opportunity from the risk reward ratio to make an entry.
Fine, Brajesh. Let me mark a few stocks here and then Shell can take over. Indian Railways Finance, that's 7% higher in trade, the top mover on the Nifty 500 basket. You have Infibeam Avenues, that's up by 6%. Fertilizers and Chemicals share 5.5% up in trade. Brigade Enterprises now moving higher at about almost 5.7%. Godavari Power and Ispat 5% higher. Aether Industries 4% higher. Gujarat Narmada Valley that we discussed 4% higher in trade as well. Amber Enterprises about 4% higher. And Deepak Nitrite that Brijesh pointed out also at about 3.6% higher apart from Hind Copper as well. So a lot of move coming in, Shell in the mid cap and the broader market space too.
Okay, 9:37 in front of us. Sakshi, I think let's just do a detour on the fertilizer space. Let's look at fact 825. The reason why I point out is that this rally is across the board within the fertilizer space. 819 as far as fact is concerned. Look at GSFC and its larger twin GNFC. Again 236 for you. I think this is a fresh record high on GFC. Yes, it is. GNFC, this is also buzzing with the gains, 756 for you. And of course we have the Deepak Nitrite space in the FNO sector, which is also doing pretty well, 2353. Let's get Mayuresh into the conversation. Mayuresh, anything that catches your fancy in the fertilizer space which might... Okay, let's throw this question to Brijesh. Brijesh, anything that catches your fancy in the fertilizer space?
Yes, sir. So if we talk of the momentum, I think fact is one which is always gives a good amount of trending move. And yesterday there was a correction in the fact. So today again the momentum has picked up into the overall segment. So I think fact can be the one watch, can be kept in the watch list. More 35 points can be seen in the fact. So I think that's an opportunity in the fact we'll keep a watch on. So from this level, 850 plus is what I think we can see in the fact. So that can be one. And rest of the stocks, I think the averages have moved so far that entry point doesn't seem to be that promising. So I think only bet remains right now. It's a fact. So fact can be one bet at the current price.
Well said. Fact is a fact, and the entry points, yes, have been disturbed beyond belief because of this rally that we are seeing, and for any sensible technical analyst to recommend an entry point 10-12% higher at the opening quote is fraught with risk. The Nifty at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, is testing its first support level 21,237. The first 5 minute candles have been in the red, so probably the gap up is being sold into. Lots of people booking profit after continuously holding options trades over the last 2 days. So yesterday's gap up was held and the index closed at day's high. Today's gap up is getting sold into. Let us see where the first support emerges, but for the moment this looks super good to me. Volt for you, Brijesh, ticking merrily higher, and this is something at 862 which requires your attention. What does Voltas tell you?
So Voltas is one of our pick. So even before the couple of days when the rally started from the 7th December, we were having a buy trade, and now it is again corrected and is picking up. It is a reversal trade basically. We are of the opinion that maybe if somebody wants to take a positional bet, can see Voltas. Voltas will be 900 plus in the over now a couple of days. So it would be a slow and steady bet, but definitely it's a positive trade. 900 plus 920 is what we are targeting. So
Quick break, and the other side of break we'll be discussing with the management of JSW Energy what's happening in their company and how does the power sector look. Stay tuned.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
In today's rapidly evolving business environment, when risk is omnipresent, managing risks is no longer just about ticking a few boxes. Businesses need to maintain a panoramic view of risks to stay ahead of the curve. Join us to explore how organizations can rethink risk to unlock new possibilities and become fit for future. At PwC presents De-Risking the Future in collaboration with Business Today.
Okay, welcome back to the market. The Nifty is still 58 points higher, 21,240. In a very short while, the Managing Director and CEO of JSW Energy, Mr. Prashant Jain, will be with us. Remember, this is a super high beta stock within the power space. The 10-year CAGR, which means the appreciation that you've seen each year in hindsight, has been 28%. The stock's buzzing with gains, and we'll be shortly discussing what the future holds for JSW Energy. But for now, It's the fertilizer space which is ticking away merrily. Fact is something that Brijesh just marked. It's now at day's high, and let me tell you the price of fact. Okay, 838.75, and a smart number of block deals happening here. Also on the move is Infosys 1535. Very strong moves coming in on this one. Adani Power is also moving 542.90. So this is how the markets are structured at the moment. I'll give you the pullers and draggers on the Nifty as far as prices are concerned. These are the stocks that are making the Nifty go up. Infosys 2% higher, 1533, contributing 31 points to Nifty's gain. TCS 0.5% higher, 3691. Reliance 1/3% higher, 2471. Hindalco and L&T 2% higher and 0.5% uptick as far as prices are concerned. Sakshi, what are you watching? My eyes can't be taken off from the metal space.
Absolutely. The chemical space too, Shell. You talked about fat. Balaji amines, that's now up by 6%, and 2356 kind of levels being seen for this one. Alkyl amines, for example, 4% higher right now. So the entire space is buzzing very strongly. 2345 for alkyl amines at this point in time. Of course, metal space, like you pointed out, Nalco at 8.3% soaring away as the top gainer on the F&O space. But we're also looking at this entire fertilizer and chemical space that's now picking up. Tata Chemicals 3% higher in trade. Deepak Nitrite 4.5% higher. Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers 3.5% up in trade. Hind Copper from the metal pack 3% higher in trade as well. The other, I think, new Navin Fluorine also about 2.2% higher for this one as well. So it's commodity space and the fertilizer agri space, chemical space that's really taking away in trade today for sure. A slight bit of uptick coming in on one of the counters from the retail space. Aditya Birla Fashion Retail now coming up in the F&O space as a mover, 2.7% higher for this one too. So clearly it's a great day of trade as well at this point in time. Okay, Shell, are we ready for the corporate guest then?
Right, and it's a wonderful day to welcome Mr. Prashant Jain. He's the joint MD and CEO of JSW Energy. A very warm welcome to you on Market today, sir. And what a wonderful time for Indian corporates, and what an excellent phase that the power sector is going through. Till about a decade ago, power was something which you looked at in terms of a fixed return which the government paid to power companies, but fabulous growth in installed capacity, a move towards renewables, and of course what love has the Lal Street shown to your company in particular and to the broader sector. How are things with you, and what is the capacity expansion planned at JSW Energy, sir, which will bring it on stream over the next 2-3 quarters?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. You are absolutely right that power sector is in a flavor primarily because of the very good uptick in the demand, and in over the last 1 decade, because there was an overcapacity situation which has got absorbed with the continuous economic development and power demand growth in the last 1 decade, and there was not sufficient capacity which was added up because the sector was reeling under substantial pressures because of overcapacity as well as the coal block deallocation. And post 2017, once the decarbonization drive also started, so this sector has come into the flavor, and now in last 3 years we have seen close to 8 to 9% of the kind of a demand growth in the country, and which has been putting substantial pressure on the power producer companies to add more and more capacity. As we are speaking, for the current year, there is a power demand growth is substantially high on a higher base effect, which is close to 8.5%. And still the capacity addition is not taking place substantially. So there is a power shortage situation which is coming up. In that format, JSW Energy has already started expanding its capacity from 4.6 gigawatt to 10 gigawatt, which will get commissioned by next calendar year. And we have also charted the growth to become a 20 gigawatt company plus 40 gigawatt hour of energy storage solution by 2030. So we are on track to achieve this target. Rather, there will be the upside surprises in terms of the capacity addition.
Okay. Mr. Jain, my follow-up question is, what is the shortfall in daily demand as far as power is concerned across the economy? How much is India producing at peak level, and what is the demand at peak level, so that we can find out the daily shortfall?
So it's varying on a day-to-day basis, but we have seen a peak demand of 234 gigawatt sometime in the October month, but now it is anything between 213 gigawatt to 235 gigawatt, depending upon day-to-day demand and supply situations. We have seen the peak shortage of 10.5 to 11%, which is close to 20 to 22 gigawatt of the kind of a shortage which we are talking about. The base demand is in the range of 185 to 186 gigawatt on an average. And so that's the kind of a situation at this point of time.
All right. Good morning to you, Mr. Jain, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion on business today. It's a great time to have you because your company is performing very, very well, even on the quarterly front as well. The Q2 numbers that just went by showed an excellent growth on the profitability front, 83% of a surge on a year-on-year basis. You reported highest ever quarterly EBITDA levels. The revenues of the company increased by 30% at this point in time. Could you reason it out for us? What are the two or three key factors that are really helping you post very, very strong numbers? And what do you see as the outlook for the entire fiscal year 2024?
So it's primarily because of the growth in the capacity, and that's what is driving the factor. And we have been a free cash flow company, and we have been utilizing that cash to increase our capacity, and that's what is happening. So last year our capacity was 4.6 gigawatt, and this year already we are touching close to 7 gigawatt, and then year end we will be having close to 7.5 to 8 gigawatt will be the capacity, and by December it will become 10 gigawatt. So that's primarily a driving factor because of a substantial capital work in progress, which is getting converted and driving the growth in the revenue as well as the EBITDA. So that's what we see. In terms of the guidance, we don't give the EBITDA guidance or the revenue guidance, but we are giving the capacity guidance, and we are also giving the financial metrics guidance, like on a sustainable basis, our debt EBITDA ratios will be less than 4.5, and our equity IRRs will be north of 15 to 16%.
Okay. So a little bit on your recent acquisition, Mitra, and the kind of contribution it has made in this quarter, and going forward, how are you looking at the operational level inputs that Mitra can do, and even the peak revenue potential that Mitra can have on the entire group?
The better way will be to look at the EBITDA numbers. When we took over the asset on 31st of March 2023, in the previous year gone by, the EBITDA was 1200 crores. And we had given the guidance to the street that in 18 to 24 months time frame, we will be achieving 1650 crore EBITDA by normalizing the capacity and refinancing the asset, as well as bringing the operational efficiency. I'm happy to share that we will be achieving that run rate in the this financial year itself, and then next year there could be a little positive surprise on the guidance which we have talked about. So this asset acquisition came out very well for us because on a total acquisition cost on enterprise value basis is approximately 10,300 crore. And if you are talking about 1650 crore of EBITDA or little north of 1650, you are talking about close to 6 or less than 6 of EV/EBITDA acquisition, which is very much ROE accretive for the JSW Energy shareholders.
Okay. Mr. Jain, I'd like to find out what is the reason behind such a strong EBIT margin that JSW Energy enjoys. You are miles ahead of your peers at 27.73 in a sector which is, how should I say, everything is controlled. You don't control the raw material price because that's what is given to you, and of course the power sector rates barely move up. So what is the reason of this high EBIT margin?
So three things I want to say that our gross block per megawatt is the lowest in the country. That means we build the project at a lower capital as compared to our peer group. Second is our O&M cost is lowest in the country, and third is our finance cost is lowest in the country in the private sector. And because of these three things, our EBIT margins are highest. These are the things. Otherwise, the power tariff is discovered by the competitive bidding, so we don't get any kind of a privilege to get higher power tariff. But yes, we are very selective and choosy while we are bidding. So we are not targeting each and every segment of the bids and not pursuing growth at the cost of the cash flows and the return. So we are very selective, and once we select the right bids and in the right segment, right space, and after that we deploy our three tools which I have explained, and that gives us higher cash flows and higher margins.
Okay, and Mr. Jain, my follow-up question will be on debt. You have something like 25,000 crore rupees of total debt, although the debt equity ratio is fairly stable given the scenario in the power sector. But are you likely to tweak this debt level, or is this what you are comfortable at?
So there are two things. There is a debt coming because of the capital work in progress and the operational debt. So that's what you need to really differentiate on the company basis. As I said that we are going to look at debt to EBITDA margins, because this is a highly leveraged space where you get the equity IRR by building the project at 3:1 debt equity. And if you are building a 3:1 debt equity, your debt to EBITDA level will be 4.5 to 5.5 times. But you are while the industry is working between 5.5 to 6.5 or 7 times debt EBITDA level, we are putting ourselves on a ceiling of 4.5, and that's how we are able to maintain and enjoy the highest credit rating and lowest interest cost.
Okay.
Right, Mr. Jain, thank you so much for your time. And yes, Sakshi, please continue.
Yes, I would just going to say that Mr. Jain, you've hung up your boots, and that's at this very exciting point in time. What are you looking ahead now?
So I've taken the early retirement from the professional life, and then I will be pursuing my own passion and interest in time to come.
Okay, all the very best to you, and thank you so much for being with us on this very special edition. And we shall hope to catch you on the other side as well. Many thanks, and thanks a lot, then, Shell, for being with us. Let's quickly wrap up the markets then, and it's again going to be a great day of trade for the markets. If we look at the Nifty, it's at 21,265. You're looking at the metal pack, the IT pack moving away. Of course, it's the day of metals and ITs. Stocks 1.6% higher for the Nifty Metal Index. The IT stocks higher by 1.4%. Barring, I think, the FMCG pack and financial services, rest of the sectors are all up into the green. The chemicals and the railway pack also moving up in the broader markets as we speak. But definitely frontline indices at record high levels, and we will continue to move to track all the market momentum for you through the trading session. So stay with us on Business Today Television.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.